You ever open your mailbox expecting a couple bills and maybe a coupon for 20% off tires, only to find a letter saying you owe $250,000 for the crime of having cows that moo? Yeah, that happened. And let me tell you, I'd never joined an HOA, never even RSVP'd to a meeting, but suddenly my little family farm was enemy number one on their hit list. If you want to know how fast your morning coffee can turn into a full-blown war, just get a letter like that. Watch what happens next. Let me back up a sec. My farm isn't one of those big, shiny industrial setups with 100 workers and rows of spotless equipment. It's small, just me and my family, a few cows, some chickens, nothing fancy but honest work. We sell eggs and milk at the local farmer's market. We mind our business, and yeah, cows will be cows. You can scrub the barn all you want. There's no such thing as barnyard lavender. But it's not some wild, overgrown mess either. We keep things tidy, organized. My dad always said, you want animals, you respect them, and you respect the land. So that's what we do. For years, nobody bothered us. The old HOA folks, if you even want to call them an HOA, knew my place wasn't part of their turf. The farm was here before their manicured lawns, before those cookie-cutter houses sprouted up like mushrooms after a rainstorm. We never got asked to join, never had a problem. Then one day, this woman shows up. Never seen her before, marches on my driveway like she owns the zip code, clipboard in hand, attitude in overdrive. You know the type. The kind of person who puts president in their email signature and expects you to salute. She doesn't even bother with small talk. She says, "Can I speak to you for a second?" But it's not a question. Really, it's a command. I should have said I was busy, but, well, I try to be neighborly. She goes, "I'm a new HOA president, and your farm is violating our bylaws." I'm standing there thinking, "Lady, you must have gotten the wrong address." I tell her, "I think you're confused. My farm's not actually in the HOA." She just glares at me like I spit in her coffee. "Actually, your farm needs to follow all the same rules since it's within the HOA boundaries. This isn't optional." And she's making little air quotes around farm every time she says it, like it's just a fancy word for mess. I try explaining real slow, like maybe she's new or there's some paperwork glitch. My property's grandfathered in. I never joined, never agreed to your bylaws. She just scoffs. You can't just make things up because you don't want to follow the rules. I'll be sending you a list of issues, and I suggest you fix them before we start fining you. Frankly, I'm amazed you've gotten away with it for so long. She walks off like she just did me a favor, leaving me standing there half mad, half confused. Honestly, if she just asked for some little thing, paint the fence, move the tractor, I probably would have done it just to avoid drama. I hate conflict, always have. But when the letter came, it was 2 pages, single-spaced, with everything she could possibly nitpick. My cows moo too late at night. My chickens cluck too loud. The animals smell. Well, no kidding, lady, they're animals. You want him to smell like vanilla bean? She claims I leave waste everywhere. Total lie, by the way. She says my tractor's an eyesore. My house is falling apart. You name it. She even throws in late fees on fines I'd supposedly racked up for years. Years before she'd even lived here. But here's the kicker. Her list ends with a grand total. $250,000. $250,000 for not making my cows hold it after 10 p.m. I laughed at first. Then I showed it to my wife and son, and we all just stared at it in disbelief. I mean, it looked official, stamped, signed, everything. Turns out she'd gone back and fined me for imaginary violations every year, stack late fees on top, then try to collect in one lump sum. So now I had a choice, roll over or fight back. First, I grabbed my property deeds, every scrap of paper showing we were here before the HOA existed. Walked right into the HOA office to clear things up. Of course, guess who's behind the desk? Karen herself, arms crossed, smile like a cat that caught a mouse. I tell her, "Here's my paperwork. I'm not in the HOA. I want these fines gone." She doesn't even look at the documents. "You're within the HOA. You follow our rules. Simple as that. You pay, or we sue. Your land's big enough for 5 new homes, and our lawyers are the best in the county." And just like that, it clicked. It was never about cows or noise or community standards. She wanted my land, split it up, build houses, rope in more dues and fines. She was coming for my home, my livelihood, everything my family built. I walked out furious. She thought she'd scare me into giving up, but she had no idea who she was dealing with. A lawyer friend told me, yeah, I was in the right, but HOAs with deep pockets can make your life hell. Even if you win, you can spend years in court, drained by legal bills. So I changed tactics. Time for a little sunlight and community spirit. See, Karen wasn't just on a power trip. She was a total hypocrite. I started documenting everything. Snapped photos, saved every letter, dug up the HOA bylaws, then took a closer look at how she and her cronies actually lived. Turns out, Karen had put in an unapproved pool, board members threw wild parties, their buddies hung illegal decorations, parked in no parking zones, the whole 9 yards. They broke the same rules they hammered everyone else for. So, I started a little social media group, invited every neighbor except the HOA brass and their loyalists. At first, it looked like a friendly community page, just sharing info. Then I started posting photos, receipts, side-by-side shots of Karen's illegal pool, her parties, all the stuff that never got a fine. Then I posted a question. Anyone else get fined for things the board themselves do? That blew up. Turns out I wasn't the only target. Dozens of folks chimed in, all hit with bogus fines, all sick of the double standard. Momentum built fast. People got mad, not just for themselves, but for each other. I told everyone to bring their paperwork to the next HOA meeting. The night of, we filled the community center, standing room only. When the floor opened for public comments, it was like pulling the plug on a dam. Folks started telling their stories, holding up letters, pointing at the board, naming names. I waited my turn, then held up the $250,000 bill and said, they want this from me, and I'm not even in the HOA. People gasped, then started laughing, then shouting questions at the board. Karen just shrank in her seat, face getting redder by the minute. For the first time, she had nothing to say. In the end, the entire board was forced to step down on the spot. A new interim board got voted in. People the community actually trusted. A week later, I got an official apology letter for the new board. All fines dropped, my property formally excluded from HOA jurisdiction, everything in writing. They even thanked me for helping clean house. Yeah, I kept that social media page up, just in case the new folks start acting up. But for now, life's back to normal. The cows are still loud, the tractor's still ugly, and Karen hasn't dared set foot on my property since. Sometimes I still think about how close I came to losing everything just because one person got a little too much power, and how it all flipped when people stood together and refused to be pushed around. So what do you think? Should HOAs have the power to strong-arm homeowners like that? Or did Karen get exactly what she deserved? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear your stories, your opinions on what counts as community, and how you'd handle a fight like this. And if you've got a crazy HOA story, let it rip. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation, because next time, it could be your story we're telling.